All right, welcome to another episode of the Freezin for NFC North Podcast, episode 69, 2023 NFC North, Week 12 review, Week 13 preview, home and realistic point of views. Packers in love decimate. Look, I'm saying something good about the Packers. They decimate the Lions. They just embarrass them on national TV. And Bears and the Vikings, well, the Bears survive a pillow fight against the Vikings on Monday Night Football, which also was an embarrassment. But, hey, we won. It was a W. And welcome back, Dale from AvgCheese. Where can everyone find you as we get started?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at AvgCheese and on the internet, www.avgcheese.com.
Very good. And you're in the Vikings corner, but hopefully we have Craig coming for a Vikings point of view soon. But we also have Fresh from Irrational Confidence Podcast as another Packer point of view. Welcome. Where can everyone find you as we get started?
Hey, everyone. Thanks for the invite. You can find me at spinnablesports.com or at The Irrational Confidence on Twitter, as well as anywhere on any kind of podcast platform.
Love it. And obviously, I'm NFL Outdated, a Bear fan. Can be irrational at times, right, Dale?
Never. That's never a thing.
Hey, I'm going to surprise you with something. And I was sharing with Fresh a little bit. I'm going to surprise you with something with the QB rankings coming soon. But before we get to that, we welcome in Seventh Letter. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me Seventh Letter 4 on X, Twitter. You can find me at Same OG on Instagram and Facebook, and the top of the NFC North.
Well, yeah, really can. But I don't know. I don't know what it really says about the division this week, or this year. But you are there comfortably. Now let's get a little uncomfortable here for you, Seventh Letter. So okay. Let's just talk a little bit about. Your Thanksgiving. Obviously, it wasn't all that happy. And quite frankly, I wasn't very happy about it either. So tell us what happened. Why did the Detroit Lions get cooked on Turkey Day versus the Packers 29-22?
Yeah, I think Jordan Love went into God mode. Yo, I said, Joe, Bill
called it. Yeah.
He was different. He was a different guy. He always kind of looks relaxed, but sometimes I think it's just I don't know, it's an act, but he was amazing. The bad thing is that our best players played the worst. Our offensive, everything that we're strong at, we're good at coaches, we're good offensive line. Everything sucked that we are good at. Everything. Offensive line stunk. Dan Campbell stunk. Ben Johnson stunk. Everything was bad, everything. We had to bench our little left guard. He's a rookie, but bench him and then put a worse bum in there. It was just bad, man. Everybody that plays well usually sucked on Thanksgiving. It was horrible. I was mad as hell. I just got dressed and left. I couldn't. It was bad. But Jordan Love, this is what I was you see it. You see it. You see the flashes. You see the low. He got a whip. His arm is strong. He throws off his back foot well, and everything was connected. Everything. But I said he don't throw the best deep ball. Wow, first play. Deep across the field patterns. He usually shows those well. Normally, those are open. Everything was open. We were outcoached. Defensive line played out of their mind. It was just the Packers. The Packers came to play. We did. Period.
I feel like we've seen that play before. Was that against the was that against the Saints that happened as well, that the Packers did that? I feel like there was one of those games that was just kind of that deep ball right away. Was that, Dale, was that one of those games that the Packers did that as well?
I don't remember exactly what game it was. The Packers have opened up throwing the ball deep a couple of times this season. But, yeah, it was an underthrown ball, but, you're throwing to Christian Watson, right? You don't throw it.
Anyway.
It's a hitch, and it's got to get out of your hand. Otherwise, he's 70 yards down the field already. You're not going to overthrow that guy if you wait too long.
Right. He just played, but they played really well. They came prepared. We didn't. They came to play me.
And I don't know if you're worried about, just that big stage, because that was a big stage, and I don't know if that is anything, or it was just kind of more.
I don't think the stage had much to do with it. We played. We had the first game of the season against the champions, and although they were undermanned, like we've won every primetime game we played this year. So I don't think it's that. I honestly think the short week effect. We really looked flat, like at both sides of the ball. Like, we really looked flat. We haven't been getting the best pass rush for a few weeks now, and it just came to bite us. It was so evident. Like, we got is Aiden Hutchinson, and unlike what the Bears did against Aiden, the Packers, they chipped them. They did everything because they knew nobody else could hurt them. Mm-hmm. And that's how you beat us. We got to find a pass rush somewhere, and blitzing ain't the answer all the time. Like, somebody else got to win that one-on-one. Somebody else. I don't know who it is. Somebody got to win one and help that guy out. I don't know.
Well, I would say on the other end of the spectrum, then, Fresh, give us kind of hand out some helmet stickers, who really kind of stood out. Obviously, Jordan Love did. What did you see from that game, and what were you excited for on Thanksgiving?
Well, I think just seeing the receivers, the way they were actually catching the football consistently, because we've seen a lot of drops throughout the entire year of big moments. Watson had a couple of bad plays there against the Raiders a couple of weeks back. We're just not getting that full complement going. When Reed made that catch for the touchdown, Watson on the touchdown on the big play opening the football game, you start seeing the guys get the confidence, making catches and making plays for the quarterback, and him actually learning to trust each other. So I think that was the big stacker right there. Reed and Watson stepping up for the quarterback and helping out. And then defensively, Rashawn Gary coming back to the spot where he actually tore his ACL and just playing like a man possessed, getting after the quarterback, bringing that pass rush, and then seeing the way that the secondary sort of built out and was able to take advantage. Jonathan Owens obviously had a gift there on the fumble, took back for the house, but the pass rush and the receivers making plays gave everyone some energy and kept them playing. It's just the offensive line also, I think, give a nod to. They didn't really allow pressure to get to Love, and they allowed the offense to sort of have some flow to it, because usually we've seen breakdowns to the offensive line, injuries there, guys mixing and matching, trying to get protections, and just getting beat up in the running game. Love running for his life sometimes. So that was sort of a positive. And I think you brought up a great point earlier where short week, they basically said, forget it. We're not going to overthink this. We're just going to run out there, throw the ball, play loose. Nobody expects us to win anyway. And guys were making plays for each other. I think that's where you sort of look at it. I'm excited about the youth of this team. They're going to have a lot of bumps in the road. This is one of those up games. Will they have a couple of down games going forward? Probably, but this was the up game. I think they all sort of clicked on the same page.
Dale, were you a little bit worried that they might, lose it like toward the end? That obviously the Lions might kind of do what they did against the Bears and come back and win that game.
Yeah, I mean, we turned them over a bunch of times, but we didn't really stop them. I think they had 464 yards of offense. I felt like if there would have been more time on the clock, they get that extra that onside kick, I think they score. I mean, I just don't have any real confidence that the Packers can stop a team like the Lions for 60 minutes. Again, they turned them over, and that was everything in this game. But the defense still doesn't give me a ton of confidence. It can't. I mean, Seventh Letter said it. That Dan Campbell had his worst game as a coach, I think. I don't know why you fake punt on your own 20. You go for it on fourth down almost every time. There were so many mistakes on the Lions' end. They could have easily won this game just by playing it close to the vest and doing what quote-unquote normal teams do. You don't need to go for it every time. That's what you do when you're not a good team. The Lions are a good team. You don't need to fake punts anymore. You don't need to go for it on fourth down when it's unnecessary. I feel like they stopped themselves more than the Packers stopped the Lions.
Yeah, I looked at that fake. I said, "Watch you fake punt."
Deep in your own end too. Like, what are you doing there?
Well, they 0 for 6 on fourth down, I think, like that right there. Those are also gifts. When you just, you know what, we don't care about field position. We're not going to make you drive the field. We're going to give you the ball right there in the middle, and we think we're tough, but eventually you got to get back to being reality here and put the ball away.
Like you live by the gun, you die by the gun. That's how we play. Like
it's unnecessary at this point. You're 8-2, and you're a good football team. You need to make those kind of.
And it's interesting to say that because I think, I mean, it almost seems like it's a foregone conclusion that the Lions are going to win the division and all this. But I mean, really, that's 2 games in a row because really, I mean, if the Bears didn't do what their coaching staff does, the Bears should have had that win, right? So I mean, this could be a trend. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I know you're sticking with your guys' seventh letter, but I mean,
no,
yeah, you're not worried.
Your quarterback is the type of quarterback that gives anyone trouble. He for some reason people don't tackle him back there. He still holds the ball for a long time. Like all the turnovers that y'all had, y'all didn't score no touchdowns off of it. Like what happened was supposed to happen. The way it happened was supposed to happen. You weren't capitalizing on turnovers. It was just we were a better team than y'all. But that quarterback plays that way. The quarterbacks that play that way give us trouble. It's just that he's on a bad team. You're not complete yet. We still got the division. We're still better than y'all. We're gonna show you. We're gonna really show y'all next time because we played without food the first time. We really gonna show you the next time.
Is that Soldier Field? I don't know.
Don't nobody care about that. The next time we see y'all, it will not be the same. Okay, it will not be the same. We won't play without.
We shall see. We'll get to the Bears game in a second, but I know AvgCheese, you're going to appreciate this. Seventh letter definitely will not here. But as we look at the NFC North division QB rankings as of week 13, 2023, y'all know where I've been at on Jordan Love, right? And too bad, Trev is not here to see this, but I'm going to throw this up right here, and I might actually throw up myself. But here we go.
Get the fuck out of here. Yo, who made this up? This is you?
This is me. Yes. I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm wearing a Lions shirt tonight. Putting Jordan Love. Our pets' heads are falling off. All that stuff. Jordan Love is throwing dimes. I don't know who I am. Fresh. I mean, do you think Love has earned the top spot in the division yet, or how would you rank these quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, with Kirk Cousins not being involved, that really does limit the opportunities. Jared Goff, we've seen a couple bad games, but for the most part, I think he's pretty solid. Love, I would probably put still number 2. I want to see him more consistent. He's played great the past 4 weeks, but give me down the stretch in December how he starts really out, and then I'll move him to number 1. I'll keep him number 2 right now. Give the respect to Jared Goff for the most part. He had one bad game. I can live with that. But
I think 2 bad games.
We're seeing Love really improve though, which is a positive at this point in the season.
AvgCheese, what are your thoughts on this development, I guess, shall we say?
I actually agree. I think Goff is still the best quarterback in the division. I mean, if we're talking about last week, it's still Love, Goff, Fields, isn't it? No? I mean,
you know where I'm at on things.
Yeah,
but
I do. I've said a million times, I think Justin Fields has physical ability coming out of every, orifice of his body, but he needs to do it on the football field as a quarterback. I think Goff is still, at this point, a better quarterback. Down the road, we'll see.
And it's going to be interesting. Obviously, hopefully, for the Lions, Goff does kind of start to turn things around. I mean, he's proven that he can do a lot of things, but I just don't know. I mean, the last couple games, hopefully it's not that trend that he's just, turned the ball over and all that. But at least the rest of us, we are not the Vikings. And last week, I had all these Vikings in my DMs, Vikings fans in my DMs saying they were on the Dobbs train. Craig said this last week. It was going to be an easy win. I said, easy win? Oh, yeah, should be. We're the better team. I said, no. Now, it was not just an ugly game. I think everybody who watched it should get their money back, should get their time back, something. But the Bears survived 12-10, and it was just it was ridiculous. And I mean, when you start off and just the play calling, 46% of Justin Fields' passes were at or behind the line of scrimmage. Yes. And I know, that's, everyone's going to say that's on Fields. But if you see the chart, I mean, this is Luke Getsy, right? And, Dale, we've talked about Luke Getsy and his play calling. And I said, Aaron Rodgers, QB coach, who's never called plays before, gets an OC job calling plays. What could go wrong? I mean,
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on kind of the game on Monday night and just the play calling from Getsy?
I mean, Getsy, you just said it. Getsy's never been an offensive coordinator. And I said this to you. I think you brought in a defensive-minded head coach for a young quarterback, and then you gave him an OC who's never been an OC. And even if he was the offensive coordinator in Green Bay, he ain't calling the plays anyway. Mm-hmm. So not only has he never been the OC, he's like third down. You know, he's the third in line. And it's really fourth because it's Rodgers, LaFleur, OC, quarterback coach. You know what I mean? So he's never even sniffed the playbook. I don't get it. It was a bad hire. They hired both the head coach and the OC are bad hires for Chicago. They just are. It makes no sense. You're ruining Justin Fields, and we're all here for it.
Yeah, I'm sure you enjoy that as a Packer fan. And Fresh, I mean, what were your thoughts kind of watching that game?
All right. It was, why are they not trying to get the ball to DJ Moore early in the football game? You know, they wait till late. He is the one receiver that actually makes that offense go. And the bubble screens to him are great, but it's wasting his opportunity. He needs to be out in space down the field. And you started seeing it late, and you saw it all year, obviously, the Washington game. He's the key to that offense. Him and Fields have a rapport. They've got to start getting vertical with that offense and get vertical to pass game. It's going to help the running game. And what they were doing is bubble screens. I don't know if they're living in college football land or whatever's going on in their minds right now, but it's become an epidemic where you're already struggling to move the ball, and you're throwing a 2-yard route or a 1-yard route or a negative 2-yard route behind the line of scrimmage. It makes Fields look worse. He already knows he's under fire. He's going to get blasted in the media, and it made that game more comical than it should have been. It should be down the field, and open up the offense. And if they don't see DJ Moore get more targets early in the game down the field in this upcoming week, you're really going to see probably Getsy get fired because this can't go on much longer.
Absolutely. And so basically, in Chicago radio, there were a couple things too. DJ Moore told Chicago radio, that it's not a two-way street with coaches on offense, right? And that's not what you want to hear. On the defense, it is. I mean, you have a head coach who's defensive-minded, who's actually done well in spots. But Getsy, when you have a player like DJ Moore and you're not allowing them to have input at all, I mean, that's telling right there. That shows that you're not comfortable in yourself as a coach to trust your best player to just kind of have input and say, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where I feel most comfortable. I mean, just you look at that and it's just, yes, you're right. I don't know how much longer. Like I was thinking, if they had lost that, they should have been fired immediately. Just there's no excuse for just right away starting that. And I think the biggest thing too here on Chicago Sports Radio talking about how they thought that Getsy was a little bit spooked from the last time playing the Lions and just worried about Brian Flores and all of the blitzes and having to get the ball out quickly and just kind of like coached against himself and just overthought it. I mean, seventh letter. Did you get a chance to watch that game or were you?
I watched it.
And you suffered through the rest of us. Like,
yeah, I watched it because I needed to talk to you guys this week, so it was tough. I actually watched it in two parts. I watched the first half, and then I ended up dozing off, and then it was on again when I woke up. And Justin Fields, I think that you throw all these short passes because he holds the ball too long. He always has to end up running away somehow and bouncing and patting the ball. He holds the ball too long. So I think Luke Getsy's just trying to get the ball out of his hand.
So yes and no. And I definitely think there's a lot of that. But I think a big part of it is, a lot of their schemes, you have the 3 wide receivers and they end up going the same place. You need to have plays that are going to be just the quick decisions. And they don't have that in the offense. And that's the problem, I think. But yes, I mean, part of it, then he tries to do too much. And then, he just overthinks too much. And I think
what did you feel about the fumbles?
Yeah, it was frustrating. It was frustrating. Absolutely frustrating. But it's the kind of the overthinking. It's like last year, he had this amazing year. Like plays, it's like he can do magic on the field when he's running the ball, right? And when he's making plays, it's like they got in his head and say, don't do what you're good at, do what we want you to do. Which, I mean, I don't know how you can be a coach in an NFL with professionals and not try to use their gifts and talents. You know, I mean, this is their livelihood. So yes, it is frustrating. I was frustrated. That doesn't mean I'm done with them. But it's just frustrating overall. And like, I think I put in the group, like, this is the most pissed off I've been for a win. I couldn't handle it. I'm just like, get these coaches away from my city, my team. I mean, and I don't know if like Dale and Fresh, if you felt like this for a little bit with what was happening with LaFleur. I mean, I heard a lot of negative backlash about LaFleur as well, right?
I think coaches complicate the game. The football is simple, and you try to get way too creative, dive into your bag, if you will, and it makes things complicated for the players, makes things complicated for the scheme, the protection. Just go out there and let the guys play and keep it simple. They always say, "Oh, we're gonna shrink the playbook this week," and usually when they do that, you start seeing production because the guys aren't thinking as much. Right. Let them just play naturally and go out there and get it done.
Right, the Packers have a young team. You do need to shrink the playbook when your guys are young. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. You have a quarterback that's never started real games before. I think the same thing. Sometimes coaches want to be the smartest guy in the room. No, you just need to win football games. You don't need to be Einstein. You need to go out there and call plays that are going to get your offense in the right spots. And a lot of times they just call stuff that looks good on paper.
Well, speaking of something that doesn't look good on paper or on the field right now, and we don't have a Vikings rep right now, but let's just pour on. I mean, what is going on in Minnesota? Seventh letter? What? I mean, what's happening?
We called it. He's going Josh Dobbs soon. We know it was coming. Like it's all fine and dandy in the beginning when they don't got tape on you, but then it was like, oh, yeah, he gets kind of risky with the ball on the outside, and he started doing that in with Arizona before he left. Like, he does that. This is what he does. Like, he's a great story. It was real nice the first couple of weeks, but we knew what it was. Like,
although I was hearing there were some Vikings fans on Facebook that were saying it was KOC's fault, Kevin O'Connell's fault, that he should have had him running right.
I feel like the Vikings seem a lot more dangerous with a mobile quarterback. But any team does. And the way he was playing, it looked like they were just gonna, lucky their way into a few wins because of the strength of schedule. It got a little easier down the road. But he makes a lot of mistakes. He fumbles. Even when he won those couple of games, he turned the ball over a few times. That's what he does. And I knew someone was gonna catch up to it soon. Somebody was, and it was y'all. Like, your defense, Eberflus called a pretty good game against them. Right, so.
That's almost like the talk is, could we demote him to defensive coordinator? Because he'd be fantastic.
He was a hell of a coordinator for the Colts. He was.
He just doesn't have it as a head coach, and it sucks, but I think they're both going to be gone. But when you look at the Vikings, Dale, obviously they're still in playoff contention. I mean, are they anything? I mean, obviously the Packers are fighting for playoff contention and everything. I mean, are we worried about the Vikings at all, Dale?
Not if Josh Dobbs is their quarterback. He's like Seventh Letter just said, he's a turnover machine. There's a reason that guys end up on team after team after team. It doesn't matter how physically gifted you are. If you give the ball to the other team over and over again, you can't play quarterback in this league, and that's what you see. It's a quarterback-driven team, and it's a quarterback-driven league, right? If you have a bad quarterback, it really doesn't matter what you have. I mean, the Vikings don't have a real great running game. Yes, they have Justin Jefferson, one of the top, he's a great receiver. He's one of the top 5 in the league for sure, right? But if you can't get the ball to him, just like DJ Moore, you can't get the ball to your receiver, they're useless out there. I think their defense could be decent. But again, if you're turning the ball over and your defense is on the field all the time, I mean, it's what the Packers do. When defense is on the field, they can't stop anybody. I'm not really scared of the Vikings anymore. No, not this year.
I do like Brian Flores, but yeah, I mean, when a team, obviously I've heard, when a team blitzes as much as they do, it kind of is telling to say, okay, we don't have the talent quite there yet, that we have to do some different things. Is that what you're kind of seeing as well, Fresh?
Oh, that's exactly my point. I was about to bring up is that they are over blitzing because the secondary they have complete lack of faith in. We hear this Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy was terrible with the Cardinals. He's a slot corner. They put him on the perimeter. He can't stop anybody, but you're trying to blitz to save face as much as you can. And I was going into the year, I couldn't believe it. They got rid of Dalvin Cook. Like, the guy is a Viking all the way through, and you let him leave, and you have Madison and Ty Chandler, and that running game completely fell off. That was the base of this offense. You run the ball, play action, Jefferson, obviously having Hawkinson there, and then Addison as a rookie coming up. You would have had the full complement. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is at that point. You sort of distribute. But now you're in a mirror with defense struggling. Your offense doesn't have an identity right now, and your offensive line has always had problems. This is only going to spiral out of control. You started 0-3 for a reason. You have 2 games with the Lions, game with the Packers down the stretch, among others. I find this very difficult for them to finish anywhere higher than the 7th seed. They're going to have some losses coming their way. It's only a matter. It's the truth that's going to come out in the end. This team is a mirage of what they were last year. They got lucky a lot last year, and they're starting to really show their true colors.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, with everything. I mean, even with Jaron Hall, I wouldn't be worried about them. But I mean, we got Vegas, Bengals now without Burrow. Obviously, you can probably marker that in for a loss with Detroit. I mean, there's no way, right?
That shit. Never know, bro. You never know.
I mean, well, that's true. I mean, but yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Just going forward. I mean, the NFC. I mean, I hate to say it. I hate to even utter this, but I mean, and we'll get to the games this week coming up. But are the Packers legitimate playoff contenders? Dale, I mean, are you like trying to book your tickets for the playoffs yet?
You look at the schedule they got left, though. After the Chiefs, the schedule is weak. Well played, sir. There it is. I mean, Minnesota no longer scares you. The Giants got the 14th string quarterback in there. Tampa Bay isn't very good. Carolina is awful.
You better win Week 16. That's all I'm saying.
Right, to give you a better draft pick. Yes, I mean, we should win that game, right? And the Bears would be, whatever they are, 3 at that point. So they're going to be playing, getting ready to get on vacation. So if the schedule is weak, are the Packers a playoff contender? When you look at that schedule, I got to say yes. I think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Fresh.
And it kind of puts now the pressure on the team. You're a young team. We talked about earlier, kind of growing up. Now you're expected to win. Like you've got an easy slate. You've got to show up now. You can't just they're young guys. They surprised them. No, you've got to win out. In essence, outside the Chiefs game, I don't think they're winning that one. But adding that pressure now, you went from a young team with no expectations. Now you have a golden path. And the NFC, as in general, is pretty weak. Commanders and Giants aren't making the playoffs. You're only getting one out of the NFC South, and the Seahawks, they're fading fast. That means you're only going to get the 49ers out of the West. So it's there for you to take. You just got to grow up and go get it.
I mean, another team that could come and get it and go finish the Bears could come and get it. So, Detroit, we're coming for you Week 14. Cleveland, Arizona, Atlanta, and at Packers. So I'm just saying, not saying, but I'm saying 9-8. Here we come.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate the
Bye
optimism.
week this week. Ice up.
Hey, I'm getting ready. Everything is gravy now. Everything's gravy now. Because I think Flus is pretty much sealed his fate, and it just I don't see how he survives as a coach. I mean, great guy, but just is in over his head. And when you look at NFL, you want a leader of men, and there was, I don't know if you all saw that video circulating post game for Chicago where he was giving the speech, and one of the players was on his phone. It's not good. It's not good. No, he's lost.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into week 13. Dale, what is the path to shutting down Taylor Swift and the Chiefs at Lambeau this Sunday in week 13?
putting her ass outside. Don't let her stay in the box, right?
She's in the box.
Put her in the top row of the stadium. Like, who did that to the Packers? Was it the Bears?
Yeah, the Chiefs did.
Oh, the Chiefs did. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the first thing they need to do. Travis can look up at her in like row 85 in that southeast corner. You know, you can barely see
Like
her
the wind coming through the corner.
She could buy the whole stadium. She could buy the whole city of Green Bay. Come on.
She probably could do that. And they need to start there. They need to shut down her man, right? I mean, that's the thing the Packers are going to struggle with is shutting down Travis Kelce. You look at the Chiefs on offense and you think they don't have a lot of skill position talent.
No.
Patrick Mahomes is a great player, right? For sure. But he's not throwing to great players, except for Travis Kelce. The Packers have always struggled to cover the tight end, so that's the big thing. That's it. Can you shut down him? And can you keep Mahomes in the pocket? I know he's not a runner, but he's got really good feet inside the pocket. Can you close that pocket around him where he's got to make a mistake or two here and there? Do I think the Packers are going to beat the Chiefs? I mean, I know you haven't asked that yet, but I don't think they can. But they have to shut down Kelce to do so.
What are your thoughts on that, Fresh?
Well, I think it comes back to the defense starting off, giving that momentum to the whole entire team. They had the pass rush, limit Pacheco, because Pacheco has actually been the number 2 really for that entire team, giving them a balanced running game, which in 19 and 20 the Chiefs didn't really have. They have that running game now. If you can take Pacheco out or at least limit his big game ability, it does focus that on Kelce, and then you can start eliminating Kelce from there because you've already taken the running game away. That's where I want to see defense can keep them in the games because they've only given up more than 25 points once this entire season. So as bad as they have been letting drives be extended and giving up, time of possession and cheap field goals and whatnot, the point totals haven't been there. They haven't gotten blown out except for the Lions game and the Vikings game, a couple weeks ago. So it doesn't happen that too often. Just managing it defensively and let the offense go out there and play loose. Nobody expects you to tear up a Steve Spagnuolo defense. So just make progress week in, week out, get out of this game healthy, and then make your stretch run. Don't get blown out. Keep your confidence, but, keep it competitive, do the best you can. But it's going to take a heck of an effort to even beat the Chiefs. You're going to have to be on point in every single aspect of the game.
Well, yeah, I totally agree on that. I mean, when you look at the Chiefs, I would worry about Chris Jones. He's a bad man, right? In just that pressure, and obviously, Jordan Love has shown some great things the last 2-3 games, right? He's really kind of stepped up. And when you look at, a player like Jones and a defense, I mean, it is going to be a tough test. On the offensive side of the ball, I would say with the Chiefs, obviously they've been down this year quite a bit on offense. And I know everyone wants to talk about not having a lot of weapons. But seventh letter, do you know who the Chiefs offensive coordinator is?
Your ex-coach.
Not the Bears ex, yes. And he blew up the Chicago Bears, and now he's blowing up the Chiefs. I mean, I do like Rashee Rice. I like some of these players. Obviously, we love Patrick Mahomes. You're not necessarily a fan of Rashee Rice, Dale?
No, I think he's a good player. He's not a complete player yet. He's a young guy, right? He's just like the Packers wide receiver. He hasn't really come into his own. He is more of a slot body in my mind. He's, I think, 6'1", somewhere around in there. But he's not a slot. He doesn't have slot feet. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But he's he's kind of a tweener in the NFL. He doesn't really have he's not an outside guy. He's not really a slot guy. I mean, is he giving me a good player? Yeah. Is he their best wide receiver right now? Yeah. But that's not saying much. Michael Hardman hasn't really done anything. MVS, the luckiest wide receiver ever put on cleats. He's terrible. I mean, he's their best wide receiver right now.
A kneecap. They couldn't catch a cold in Wuhan. That's true.
They lost that game for Pat Mahomes against the Eagles. Like, I thought they was gonna get the Eagles out of here. They outplayed the Eagles all game. Those receivers just lost. Even Kelce, like everybody was letting Pat down. Pat did throw an interception in the red zone. Kelce fumbled in the red zone. Your boy from the Packers dropped another pass deep. He used to drop it for Aaron Rodgers all the time.
Yes, he did.
Cost me a fantasy football win with that drop touchdown.
Huh?
He cost me a fantasy football win with that drop touchdown.
if MVS played in the Stickum era, he'd have been fine. Otherwise, no. It's terrible.
So, Dale, are you picking your Packers to win this week? You said maybe not?
I'm not. I think they'll cover. The Packers, I think, are 6.5-point dogs right now. I think it's going to be a close game. And like with the Lions, if we can play from ahead, then we got a shot, right? I mean, I think one of the determining factors was turning them over and getting way up on them and making them do things that they don't have the ability to do, or they make bad decisions. If you can do that against the Chiefs, you got a shot.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to win this game. No.
And Aaron Jones is out again as well, right?
Looks like it.
So what about you, Fresh? Are you picking the Packers this week?
I'll take the Packers the points. I think the Chiefs win out, outright, but the points wise, I think it's like a 4-point game.
It is a 6.5 right now.
Yeah,
I think.
So
Yep.
I think Chiefs probably win by 4. They escape, get out of it on Sunday Night Football. The Packers put up a fight, but it's going to come down to Packers offense versus Chiefs defense and how that matchup really goes down. Because I think that's where the game's going to be decided.
Absolutely. And what about you, Seventh Letter?
I think the Chiefs win, but I do think it's going to be a little bit closer than we all, think it is. They're just not playing well on offense in Kansas City right now. It doesn't look like the same team. Like they're not. We don't fear them anymore. It's not like this last year or something like that. It's a different team now. They're not as sharp as they were.
Let's say it louder. Matt Nagy.
Oh, okay.
Matt Nagy effect.
He was there before. He took him to the Super Bowl the first time.
Oh, he didn't take him to the. He got taken to the Super Bowl. Yes, thank you.
All right, fine.
Yes, it just with the Bears, it just took a couple years, similar to kind of get his full imprint on the team and really take him down. It's really kind of what happened.
He had a great quarterback, so it wasn't that hard.
That is true. How long before Andy Reid pulls a Gene Hackman bucket of stick? Oh. Stuck sticking for the wide receivers. Anything is possible with Reed and Mahomes. I do think the Chiefs do pull this out, but with everything that's been happening, and I hate to say this. I mean, this is like, I hate to say this, but the Packers are starting to ascend. They're starting to do some things against some good teams. Love is starting to Trevor would really enjoy this, actually. Love is starting to become the quarterback that they want, and I feel like just always develop these wide receivers that they're going to do something, and so that scares me a little bit. If the Packers win, I'm going to say this right now: if the Packers win, they make the playoffs, absolutely 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
because the rest of the schedule is very, very favorable.
It is. And in this, like in these type of games, if Jordan Love can continue to prove that he has what it takes, I mean that goes a long way to showing his teammates that like he can be that guy. I mean, it is at home. I mean, that's huge, but because usually the Packers can't win on the road, so.
Yeah. Well, if he goes in the God mode like he did last week on, I mean, the first touchdown was like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
That was maybe like 2 inches of space that ball got through. I couldn't even believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was a nice throw.
Yeah. What do you do? Never mind. Great throw, buddy. Yeah.
Chiefs have been the worst team against the spread this year. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, all good stuff here. Pass not coming back down to earth this past week. Absolutely. We all called that. I think Vikings fans were just kind of in a state of denial. Obviously, there are a lot of rivers in Minnesota. Denial may be one of them now. But it just it had to end, and it did end. Obviously, Jaron Hall has to be the quarterback, right? They have to see what they have in him.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Start him this week. Like Josh Dobbs started to Josh Dobbs a little bit last week, so the game before that. So,
although when Justin Jefferson, if he comes back, I mean that might give him a little bit of a bump.
That don't mean nothing. With Justin Jefferson, they're a little bit more easier to beat because they just kind of become very one-dimensional when he's in the game. You know what I'm saying? Very one-dimensional. Like that's why they were 0-3.
Yeah.
They didn't really start winning until he left because they had to really spread the ball around, and everybody else kind of picked it up. So they're very easy. They're easier to beat with Justin Jefferson, so, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and if you have I think back, obviously Craig said it was going to be the easy win against the Bears, but with Kirk Cousins, the Bears kept it close, and that was without Montez Sweat, without some of those pieces, on defense, and so it's hard to really trust. If you got a young quarterback, he's going to try to force it to Jefferson.
Yeah.
I think, more focus on the running game, though, when you have that kid out there. Let him run the ball, get himself comfortable, and then don't put as much stress on Justin Jefferson and use Hawkinson to help balance it out. You've got to coach him up. You got the 2 week with the bye week, but you're going to have to let him go out there and see what you got. And if not, use Dobbs to just get through the rest of the year and just survive.
And I know what Seventh Letter thinks about Hawkinson. So
Hawkinson been playing good this year.
He has been. He's
been playing good this year. He had a rough start to the last game, but he finished off pretty good. He caught that touchdown. He would have dropped on Detroit Lions. He'd have definitely dropped that. It's all bad.
So let's talk about the Lions in Week 13, the other team that's playing this week. So what is Seventh Letter? What's the path to marching out of New Orleans with a W in Week 13 for the Lions?
If Chris Olave doesn't play, because we can't cover nobody. So I don't trust Carr at all. So I don't him or Jameson. Like it's one of those games with two poor quarterbacks that should be. These are the games that we win. When the quarterback stinks, we usually come out on top. So, and with the injuries they have, like I think their defense will play a little better. They'll get a little pass rush on us. If Jonah Jackson plays this week, I can see us running the ball a little better. Our screen game will be a little better. So, I got us winning this one. I'm not that scared. I don't think they're not as blitz heavy as the Vikings, which could potentially bother us one of those games. So I think we should win out because we play the Cowboys too. After this, we should beat the Saints pretty handily. But we are also in New Orleans too, so not handily, but it won't be a shootout or nothing like that. It'll probably be a defensive struggle or something like that. Low scoring game, 20-13, something like that.
Yeah, and they almost beat the Packers, Dale. What did you see from that game?
The Lions are a different team than the Packers, especially when they played them early. All the Lions have to do in this game is to assert their dominance on both sides of the lines, which they've done many times this year. Their offensive line was god-awful on Thursday, which was really strange. That's not something you see out of the Lions very often. Taylor Decker, I don't know if he's still hurt because Rashawn Gary just ate him alive. That was really strange to watch. Taylor Decker is a really good tackler in this league. Mm-hmm. And their defensive line, too. You look back to Week 17 against the Packers, their defensive line looked like the second coming of the Steelers. And it was Aleem McNeil is a good player. Aiden Hutchinson is a good player. Like, they have good defensive linemen, and they didn't do anything against the Packers. They just need to get back on track. It's that simple. The Saints are not a good football team. And they're going in the wrong direction.
I'd say great points from Mr. Kneecap here. We'll call him Mr. Kneecap. Considering Cam is out, Peter Werner is out, Shaheed Thomas. So a lot of players, obviously, on defense and offense out. And for the Lions, Jonah Jackson is back practicing again, Seventh Letter.
Yeah, I saw that today. This afternoon, I saw it. Yesterday, Dan Campbell said something kind of slick, like, yeah, he'll be back when he tells me he's ready to come back. Like, when he tells you. Yeah. This is free agency. He's a free agent after this season. I don't know if they're going to sign him back. He played well against the Chargers, and then he didn't play the next week. Something with his hand again. So he's good. He's valuable to us, like, truly. We missed him on Thanksgiving. Definitely.
So, Fresh, are you picking the Lions to get right against the New Orleans Saints again?
Oh, they're going to get right by 10 points plus. And the only hope the Saints have is Alvin Kamara, and you've got to get him the ball 20 times so you have any kind of chance offensively. The Saints are a mess. Lions will roll them.
It's interesting because it's only Lions are favored by 4. Over under is 46. So obviously,
hammer the fool.
Yeah, and the over, I think.
40. Yeah. I mean, the Saints.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
The Lions ran for almost 150 yards, and they were getting smashed in the first half by the Packers. They still were able to run for 140 yards in this game. They should be able to do that against the Saints as well, and more.
It just seems like a lot of older veterans for the Saints that have played it in the past at a high level. They're starting to show their age now in defense, especially. And this team is just it's a hodgepodge of guys. There's no unity right now and no flow, and it's just they don't have a chance, I don't think, against good teams.
And that coaching staff is horrible as well. I think that's probably a staff that's going to be gone this offseason as well. Dennis Allen.
Yeah, definitely.
That's no doubt. I mean, if they're firing coaches left and right, that stuff has to go.
Well, speaking of coaches getting fired, I mean, Bears during the offseason, I mean, lots of questions where they go. I mean, they won. It's such a obviously a win is a win, but I do think Eberflus Getsy, that time clock is running out, and I hate to say it, but I mean I'm a Fields guy, but I think his time is running out. I mean, problem is, I know seventh letter. I mean, Caleb Williams is out there, right? I just don't see Caleb Williams. Obviously, the positive thing with getting whatever rookie quarterback you get is resetting the clock as far as the salary cap and all that. You got a young quarterback, but I mean, he can't even handle the media at USC. I mean, he's crying in the stands. He's just, I mean, obviously, he's kind of brought it on himself. I just don't know, seventh letter, how he can take the Chicago media. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I do think he has that temperament, though, that we talk about that Justin Fields doesn't have. He has supreme confidence when he's on the field. He's not afraid. He's not timid as Justin Fields is. He's a different beast. I think he is a very, very good quarterback.
What's his record though?
But that's okay. College is different. He'll
he should be able to dominate in college.
He has some tough times in Chicago too, but
Mm-hmm.
The tears don't mean nothing. I looked at the tears, hugging his mom. I'm tired of losing to these guys. I'm just, like, shit, I've cried. I played for a basketball team where we won 3 games, and I cried after every game because nobody else gave a fuck with me.
Yeah, I did that in my high school football too. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, I like the tears don't really mean much to me. I think that was more of a kind of made me like him more. Now, all this, I can stay in college if I get I want to be chosen by these 3 teams and all that Eli Manning shit. I don't like that, but that's my only problem with it. But when you see some of the throws that this man is able to make, he's just and that arm talent is different.
So, Fresh, are you in on him as well?
I think he's a fraud when it comes to the pro game. You kind of look at Lincoln Riley coached him. He's coached Kyler Murray. He's coached Baker Mayfield. They all had these amazing stats. They did all this stuff in college at Oklahoma. They get to the pros. They're average at best. Baker has his issues. He's a fighter. Kyler runs around, makes a couple plays, but then throws a lot of interceptions. It's not built for an NFL mind. It's going to take him a couple of years. He's going to get thrown in there right away, expecting the same thing he had in college, and you're going to see a lot of failure early on. Like they need if they're going to play him, you got to sit him for a year or 2. Let him figure out the difference of the college game and the pro game, especially in that Lincoln Riley spread to an NFL modern offense. That's what I'm worried about. He has tools, but he's going to have to be unlearn what you've learned in a way to get him ready for the pro game.
I don't know. That sounds eerily similar to what happened to Fields. I mean, you had a coach, he came in and he was just like, we're not going to start him. He's going to sit, but they just didn't know how to handle it. I mean, Dale, are you in on Caleb Williams? Are you kind of seeing what Fresh is, or where are you at on
him? First of all, the Bears would pass on Caleb Williams and take the North Carolina guy, Drake May, wouldn't they?
They probably would. Keep tradition going.
Exactly. It's
I'm going to take that as a positive. Come on.
I mean, you kind of what Fresh said. That's kind of it. You know what I mean? You have to learn the game. I've seen, you see all these breakdowns of USC football, and that it's not the same as he's going to run in the pro game. Are you, as a I'm not beating up on the Bears here, but as a team that
I'm used
doesn't
to
win
it.
games, are you going to wait a full year and lose even more games? I mean, you have to have a coaching staff that's, one, brand new and then can take those losses, and two, are willing to let the young man sit. And I don't know. There's not a lot of patience in the NFL anymore.
Mm-mm.
If the Bears are smart, no matter what quarterback they take, they need to go out and get Ben Johnson or an offensive mind and start there. Because otherwise, it's the same thing. It's rinse and repeat again for the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely would agree on that. I mean, you have, you need someone who has called plays before, not just, someone who has been the offensive coordinator, but the head coach has taken it. I mean, that's what they tried to do with, Matt Nagy. He was the offensive coordinator, but he wasn't calling the plays. You need someone, and, Ben Johnson has, he's really kind of ascended pretty quickly. We talked about this. Was this a couple years ago that we talked about this seventh letter? Just how, he's just kind of ascended and obviously he knows how to call a good game, right?
Yeah, he knows how to scheme people open. He also has a really good offensive line to work with too. So
That's true.
I think that he go crazy with a mobile quarterback. It just opens up so many things for him. Jared Goff has his limitations. But he's actually built an offense that's perfect for his skill set. And even the coach for the Bengals tried to snatch Ben Johnson away from us. He was on our staff. He was a tight ends coach. He came
Zach
along.
Taylor.
Yeah, Zach Taylor wanted to get him. But he came along with Patricia's fat ass, and they kept him on. They kept the offensive line coach. It's just a certain cohesion we have on our team, and they brought him up, and since he's been a part of the play calling, Jared Goff has gotten better. And I think they blow him up a lot because I've seen him do things that I don't like, but he usually corrects it. Like that Green Bay game, it was just more cute shit that I don't like that he does. But I love Ben Johnson. I think he'll be a great coach in the league. This is a young man's league now, and I think if he gets a rookie quarterback that's mobile, he'll be a great coach. I hope he doesn't go to the Bears. I want him over on the other side and in another conference. I want him in the AFC. Go to the Chargers. Go there. Don't.
And he may want to go with Herbert. I mean, that might be pretty enticing as well.
That would be crazy for him.
Kneecap had here no pass on both and go with Michael Penix. I just don't know. I saw him at Indiana, and I think he's got the talent, but he's just he has more limitations, I think.
And you'll see that this Friday night. Your limitations will show against Oregon in the rematch.
Yeah. So are you saying that Oregon's going to beat Washington then?
I think they'll do a pretty good number on them. They're motivated.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's going to be interesting when you look at the division this year and just finishing up. I don't know. Call me crazy, but the Bears could go on a run here. They could go on a run.
I love you, man. I swear to God.
Hey, they could go on a run.
You got to be bold.
Got to be bold. They can go on a run.
I just wanted to hear how you was going to try to clear. After he fumbled that second time, I said, I want to hear what he got to say about this shit.
I was frustrated, but I was already so frustrated just by all the play calling. You look at, that it's just, and that's the thing. You have a head coach and you have your best players. You put them in, whether it's defensively or offensively, you put them in the best place to make plays. And that's what you have to do. You have to recognize the talent you have. Otherwise, you're not a good coach. Everybody can see it. When everybody, in the National Football League and people outside, watching can see this. It's just, I just don't know how he keeps his job. And I just don't know. It's just, yeah. But I'm starting to waver on Fields a little bit. I like him, but what sucks, I think, is the biggest thing that went viral, right, is in the post game is that our general manager, Ryan Poles, was seen hugging Fields and
lifting him up off his feet.
And doing what?
Lift him up off his feet.
Pretty much. And so everyone was saying, okay, well, our GM's not going to get rid of him. But that's the thing, he that still may happen because, it's just a difficult. It's almost like where the Packers were with Jordan Love, right? Last year you just didn't know, and I think Fields has shown more at this point than Love had shown last year, obviously, right? In this same situation. I mean, we can agree on that, right, Dale?
Well, he hadn't played, so yeah, it's really
Right.
hard to know what you're going to get out of a guy when he's never started one NFL game in his career.
So now the question is, do they pick up the 5th-year option, or the Packers? How did that play out then with the Packers? Didn't Love kind of bet on himself? Now he got a 2-year deal, so he's tied for.
Basically, they bought out the 5th-year option, did a deal for this year and next year.
Okay, and so that could be a possibility. What were the numbers on that? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head. I think it was it was market friendly, considering they're paying still a ton to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So,
You see that selfish motherfucker trying to come back?
You know he is.
He's coming.
He's coming back.
I don't know if he's coming back. But we're talking about Rodgers, right?
Yeah,
I think
he shouldn't do it.
Does.
I think he just wants to be in
In the news.
In the news. That's what it
That's
is.
a selfish prick. I don't like him, man. I don't like him. He's like, come on, bro. Come on.
I mean,
For what?
He initially did it to get he wants to be the fame, but he wanted to give the Jets motivation to keep playing. Now he knows they truly suck. He's like, I've got to be desperate here to get them play better.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So it was less than the 5th-year option for Love by $5 million. Okay. So, so he took a little bit of a discount because he had to prove himself. And Fields, that might be an option. We'll see. Obviously, kind of what happens. But they saw the kind of Roquan deal that Poles had to make that trade. Just had to make that trade. So what I fear is he gets traded to, obviously tied to Atlanta because he's got ties there or wherever. I've also heard that what if he got traded to the Vikings? I mean, that might be interesting. And you actually have an offensive coordinator that can do some stuff with him and trust him. And I still think he's a solid quarterback. I know a lot of Packer fans don't want to see that, and a lot of Vikings don't want to see that. He has a lot of talents, a lot of gifts. He obviously has some growing still to do. I will admit that.
Well, I think with him and DJ Moore, I want to see the rest of the season how they play together because he's healthy, him together. If they can start getting a real true rapport and put up some numbers, that gives you hope. But if they struggle, then you have a reason to get rid of him.
And that's my fear that he's going to be the scapegoat, and that's what Getsy has proven in these post game rants, post game comments. He keeps throwing him under the bus, and it's just kind of like these little kind of digs, like, oh yeah, he did good, but he should have done this, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Y'all don't deserve him, yo. Get him out of there, man. Y'all don't deserve him. And it's a shame.
It is a shame. Yeah.
It's a shame.
Good gamer. I mean,
I talk highly about that bum with the arm wrestling father.
that wasn't me.
No, you like I said, nobody rides. No one on this earth rides harder for Justin Fields than you. I've seen Jared Goff with 3 interceptions in the game, 3 interceptions against y'all, and he was the worst ever. Justin Fields can do that on Sunday, and it will be the offensive coordinator's fault. Nobody.
How many interceptions did Justin Fields throw this past week?
I don't think he threw any. Right? He fumbled twice at the end in the fourth quarter.
He did.
Tried to get
he
it
did
back.
Fumble. He did.
Tried to.
He did.
He tried to.
Tried to.
But
Yeah.
the Vikings couldn't move the ball. So what the fuck?
So
it was a
7:30.
terrible game.
Oh,
it was hard to watch. It was similar to the Panthers game y'all had. It was terrible.
It was.
Whatever. Man. Touchdown. Like, oh my God, it was like 5 minutes left in the game before the first touchdown. Like,
oh my gosh, it was bad. It was bad. But and speaking of that game, and obviously, the Bears do have a legend on their team right now, currently. Cairo Santos. He is the most consistent kicker from 50 plus yards. He's 5 for 5. So he's actually got a better percentage than a good old Justin Tucker. So, if a kicker could win, what
he missed the field goal this week.
He did. Well, he made it and then it got blocked. So, yeah. Always see the positive. But I'm just saying,
he would have made it. He would have blocked.
Exactly. I'm just saying that if a kicker should win an MVP, it definitely,
Did you just say that the Bears kicker is their team MVP?
Probably is.
As long as there's no double doink involved, you're okay.
This is what happens when the Bears actually win a game 12-10. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm excited. I'm not excited. I just, I went back and forth. You saw that back and forth. I want this coaching staff gone. Last year, I could understand where things were going. And to compound things, you see the Packers, and they're starting to turn a corner, and I hate it. I just hate it. I mean,
they have the most experienced defense in our division, man. Like, I knew it would come up someday.
You did. I mean, did you kind of see this fresh? I mean, did you see kind of, this turnaround, or were you you've always kind of been on the believer train?
Well, I kind of had a feeling this defense, if any success this season, was going to come with the defense first and let the offense sort of get there. I figured the defense would play better early in the year than they had. He's gotten kind of better late. Mm-hmm. But Joe Barry's got to go regardless because that guy's trash. I mean, he couldn't coach out of a sandbox right now. But that's how the players are playing despite him.
He was coaching. He was fucking us up. We ain't know where it was coming from.
I'm surprised him and Matt Canada didn't get fired after the Steelers-Packers game because both those fan bases want both of them gone, but somehow he's still there.
So here's the, Dale, when you talk about like coaches, obviously I kind of joke that, the Bears could make a run. I mean, what if they make a run and they win all the games out? Okay. If the Packers go on the run and they get to the playoffs, maybe they win a playoff game, God forbid, and I have to move from Wisconsin. But how can you fire a coach that took their team to the playoffs or turned things around like this? How can you do that?
Are we talking about Joe Barry?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about Matt LaFleur?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, we'll start with Barry because he's kind of on the hot seat, but even LaFleur.
Well, LaFleur gets a pass, right? He's had too many winning seasons. This is a brand new quarterback with a lot of young guys on offense. You can't hang it on the head coach when he's had success in the past. Joe Barry has never had success in this league as a defensive coordinator, no matter where he's gone. I don't think he will be fired. I am on the fire Joe Barry train all day long. 464 yards against the Lions. He's going to probably survive, and I'm going to hate it. You look at all the number one draft picks. I know we've talked about this a million times. Mm-hmm. It's number one draft picks all over the Packers defensive lineup, and you're 18th in the league. I think they moved down in this win from 17th to 18th in the league in overall defense. It's not a good defense. Yes, we've kept teams under 20, like Fresh said, but it's still not a good defense. You give up almost 500 yards, you're not a good defense. You can't spin it any other way. But Joe Barry will probably keep his job, sadly, if they make
probably get an extension, unfortunately.
Oh, God. No, it's not that way. But you're right. He probably will. And I hate to say this too, but Adam Stenavich should probably be fired as the offensive coordinator as well.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. He's not doing anything wrong, but you're not getting any new ideas from Adam Stenavich. You know what I mean? He's not going to go to Coach LaFleur and be like, hey, we need to scheme X open, or we need to scheme this guy open. That's not coming from that guy. They gave him a promotion because they wanted to keep him within the organization. but you're not getting any value out of that guy. Go find a young guy that's going to do something different and help the Packers win, because Stenovich is not doing it. But that said, they're both going to keep their jobs if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so crazy what winning can do. Like like even winning ugly, like it's just. I mean, I think from the Bears' perspective, obviously wins and losses are one thing with Getsy, but the other thing is, he's had two of his coaches have to be fired because of HR issues, and those are people that's just, and that's who the head coach brings along with them. You just can't have that, and so that's just that's another reason I think he'll be fired. And the tough thing is, I mean, I've heard too, what if one of them is fired and then promote or keep Getsy? Like I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to see that either. But
please let that happen.
Well, that's the tough thing. Okay, so you fire, head coach, offensive coordinator, and say you keep Fields, then he's got to learn another offense. So that's tough. Yeah. Or you fire them and get rid of Fields, then you're resetting everything. And they just paid, obviously Montez Sweat a bunch of money. They paid Cole Kmet a bunch of money. DJ Moore's going to be, coming up, and so it's just – It's such a difficult thing that, I just want my team to win. And I know you're enjoying the seventh letter.
No, they also paid Tremaine Edmonds, who I think is seventh letter's favorite linebacker in the NFL. Paid him a bunch of money too.
I had a point about one of the steals of free agency that is on the Chicago Bears. TJ Edwards. Yes. TJ Edwards.
He's been okay.
Oh no, better than okay. 127 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble in 10 games. He was going to make projected to make $11.5 million. He made $6.5 million. Steal the draft. I'll take that. TJ Edwards, obviously, it helps to have Montez Sweat on there too. So I'll take that. I just don't know where I'm taking it. We're not taking it to the playoffs anytime soon. So.
Yeah. Next year, man.
Next year. Okay. Well, I appreciate your positivity.
Calling the shot.
Now you get some more draft picks. You get a couple more. I mean, you gave a second round pick away, which is basically a first round pick. It'll be a top 30 player, top 35, 40 player. And you get 2 first round picks. So you have 3 top 40 people on the team. It's getting close with that. You have a new coaching staff, a whole new energy. Even if you do keep Fields, you'll be a better team next year.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm just hoping. Are we going to be better than seventh letter? Are we going to be better than Packers next year?
Nah. You gotta. You know what? If you beat them week 18, we can have that conversation.
I'm actually confident about that game. I am confident about that game.
About the first one too.
Well, I was. Yes, I went into. Yeah.
You were super.
I'll give you that. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. A lot of great stuff. Thanks for coming on. Fresh, where can everyone find you?
You can just find me on at Spinnable Sports on Twitter /X, whatever they want to call it now, as well as spinnablesports.com, or at, I can't even remember my own Twitter handle right now off the top of my head, but you can just go to at Irrational Confidence podcast and use that and you'll be fine.
And actually, it's scrolling on the bottom, so it will come here. Yeah. So, and thanks again for coming back, Dale. Obviously, it's been a little bit. We can find you at AvgCheese and where else?
That's it. At AvgCheese on Twitter. I'm never calling it X. You're going to find us moving up the ranks in the NFC North.
And you drop your podcast when?
We are now dropping it twice a week. We drop one today, so usually Wednesdays and Fridays.
Very nice. Definitely follow and like, subscribe, all that stuff. And obviously, you can find me on NFLOutdated on Twitter, X, and obviously on YouTube, and hopefully in the winning column in a couple weeks here. But I'm going to take this week off. and just kind of watch some Lions football. I got my Detroit Lions shirt on, and I'm going to be cheering your Lions on. So where can everyone find you as we finish up here? 7th Letter.
You can find me at 7th Letter 4 on Twitter, X. Sorry. Same OG on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Sorry. And still atop of the NFC North. This has been fun, everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, fun. Appreciate
thanks
you,
again.
fellas.
Yep. Thanks again, guys. And we'll catch you again next week. Have a great night.
You too.
All right.
Thank you.